Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Crafty Crow Show. Today's episode, we're going to do a little bit of traveling through the county, and we're going to check out 3 of the historic L&N train depots in Harlan County. So if you want to learn a little bit about them, you want to get in and get some views of them and just take a little drive around the county, stick with us, come with us. Let's go dig into this subject. There's 3 stations that was owned by the L&N, but they were 3 big ones, so I was already up this way, so I figured number 1, we'll start with Lynch. Then we'll go on to Harlan, and then do Everts. Those are the locations of the 3, so we'll give you a good shot of all of them, so stick with us. Let's go take a look at Lynch. So this is coming into Benham from Cumberland, and you got to go through Benham to get to Lynch. Benham was another town. International Harvester built Benham as another model coal camp for the time. And yeah, the International Harvester, like the tractors, International Harvester, they need to reserve coal reserves to make the steel to make all their items. So International Harvester built Benham. And this will be a little bit of a drive through Benham. Now, there's going to be plenty of videos up this way. Now, this is the first time, you all know, this is the first time I've been out of the Harlan area. And there's a reason for it. Benham and Lynch is so rich in history and significance to the county, just like a lot of other places are. It seems like an overwhelming task. I don't know how to break it down to make sense to you all, so I'm going to have to section it all up. But this will be the first view. You can drive through Benham. This road actually goes up Black Mountain, which is the highest point in Kentucky, and goes over to Appalachia, Virginia. So this is one way we get to Virginia. We're right here on the border of Kentucky and Virginia. We come around this first brick building you see on the right was the old theater. Then you'll see kind of here on the left, this was the old commissary building, which is where the coal museum is now, and I highly recommend for y'all to visit. I'm going to try to take you all to visit that sometime and show you inside and everything, but if you want to know anything about coal mining, that's the place to go, is that coal museum. It's awesome. It's 3 or 4 stories. You get to see the old commissary building. They've got a whole Loretta Lynn exhibit with some of her actual clothing and items and stuff that she's donated to that museum. So if you're ever down in Harlan, definitely look that place up and come visit. Like I was saying, there is so much history up here in these 2 little towns, which are little now. Lord, if you ever seen pictures of this place, there was houses everywhere. And we'll get into more of the population and stuff, but like I said, Lynch up here was the biggest coal camp in the world at the time. So it kind of holds that record. Lynch High School held state football championships and stuff. I think the last was like 1968 or something, but state football titles and everything for the state of Kentucky. This was a happening place back in the day. My other problem with this area, I was born and raised in Lowell and then lived in Harlan. I never made it up here. And this is the start of Lynch. Here during the segregation days on the left was the black school where they had segregation and African Americans would have to go to school there. But all these houses majority of them are old camp houses. If you'll try to notice, a lot of them look the same or very similar. These were all houses built. If I'm not mistaken, you would go to like the commissary. You could buy plans from the company. They had a set amount of plans for 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom houses, whatever. And you could buy those plans, and that's how you would get the house built. But a lot of these were company owned at the time. But like I was saying, I'm not from up this way, so knowing some of these landmarks and stuff, it's going to be a learning process for me. So I have to get my head wrapped around it before I can explain it to you all. But I promise you, there will be videos up here to share the history of this place, because this place is very significant in Harlan County history, and for that matter, national and world history, for the contributions they made. Here's the first site of Portal 31, which is a mine exhibit now, but it was an actual mine. They made their own electricity here, and this old building kind of behind that stack there you see on the right. We go under the belt line that goes to the mine. This place is amazing, especially if you're looking at coal mining history. This place is amazing. And if you want a good cup of coffee, right there in the old lamp house on the right is definitely the place to get it. But right here in Lynch, we're going to go to the train depot that it looks like they're working on today. So here we are in Lynch, Kentucky. Now, guys, this is going to be loud because I got here for this depot. They're actually putting a roof on it today. So, you know, hope you can hear me good and everything, but we'll get as good a shots as we can, overlook the construction going on. But that's a good thing because it shows that they're maintaining this place and keeping this up. Behind me, you've got the old bathhouse where the miners would have taken their baths and stuff. And you can see kind of right in there, looks like, is where Portal 31 is. Like I said, if you're ever up this way, this is all great stuff for you to come see. You can actually go back in that old mine in Portal 31 and take a little trip on a little car, and there's animatronic stuff in there and everything to give you the history of coal mining up here. I've not done it myself, but I want to. So, back to the subject. Now from this station, if you lived here in Lynch, you would have went through these doors, went in, got your ticket to go to Harlan, to Pineville, all the way to Corbin, and if you wanted to the rest of the nation. You know, Corbin was a major hub for rail transport at the time. So from Lynch, you could get anywhere you wanted to, just like hopping in your car and driving. Now remember, at the time this was built, rail travel was the most widely used transportation in the county because there still wasn't improved roads. You know, we didn't get 119 built, like we said in the last video, until the late 20s and early 30s. So this was the way to go. So through those doors is where you went. The whole district up here is an historic district, so this is information taken from the National Registry of the Historic Places. This is the description on the rail depot. The one-story brick railroad depot, one of the few brick structures in Lynch, because most everything up here was made out of stone, as you can see in the background. It said the stone quarries are already closed when they built this depot. So this depot was built in 1925. It says paired brackets support the hipped roof. The windows are 9-1 double hung. The busy station served 2 passenger trains daily through the 1940s, and then 1 train a day until the L&N discontinued passenger service to Lynch on January 1st, 1956. So the last passengers left the station July 1st, January 1st, 1956. The building was then converted into a central warehouse, and still later, with the closing of number 31 mine bathhouse, into a bathhouse for the outside mine workers. So let's ping around here. There's the depot. Bathhouse. There's the portal entrance over there. Lamp house number 2, I believe, with a coffee shop in it now. And then there would have been the processing facilities. There's more back in there that you can't see. And then off to the left over here, there was more mines opened up. You also have here an old Alco locomotive that they would have used for shunting and pushing cars around here in this little yard. And an old L&N caboose. And that's the roofing guy's vehicle. Got them up there working on the roof. So on the end back here, I think we're standing, now this is a guess, but on the old passenger platform for the station. You can see where the caboose is. There's a couple more rail lines there. There's a switch, but this was a little rail yard that they could have stored cars in. There's a couple more switch heads. And the passenger line would have probably come straight down here, straight beside this dock. You've got, I think that's another lamp house there, probably a powder house and stuff there, but all up on this hill up there were more mines. So this train depot kind of sat right in the center of Lynch. But I thought I'd show you kind of how that went. You can see way back there in the background, That would have been the loadout and stuff for the coal, where they would actually dump it into the cars. So that's why they needed a little yard up here at the end of the line to be able to sort cars and get them loaded. So a lot going on up here in Lynch today. Kind of surprising. There's a lot of people up here, and that's a good thing. But there's the depot. Like I said, I wasn't expecting the roofing to be going, but that's good news, because that means that they're getting funding to take care of that thing, and a roof is really important. And the building looked in really good shape on the inside. So that's all for Lynch. I highly recommend coming up here and visiting if you have the opportunity. Like if you come in for the ATV park or something, you know, come up here and spend the day. It's awesome. The caboose and the train are both open. You know, the kids love getting on that kind of stuff. I know mine did when they were growing up. So great place and a lot of history up here if you want to learn about coal mining. So now we've covered that one, let's go on to Harlan and see their train depot. So while we're driving, remember everyone, if you're liking the content, please hit the thumbs up button. If you don't like it, hit the thumbs down button. You know, that's totally up to you. But if you are liking it and haven't already, hit the subscribe button down below, and that'll let you know. You hit that and the bell that lets you know every video I put out as soon as it comes out, so you don't have to search over Facebook and everything to find it. And it really helps out the channel. It helps me out a lot. So I'm trying to give you good comments, so we're trying to do each other a favor. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. Next on the list, the Harlan train depot, the Harlan L&N train depot. This is it, but it's not it. This is a recreation of the original depot. The original depot apparently was put on the National Registry of Historic Places in the early 80s, and in the late 80s they decided to take it off and tear it down. Best I remember, it was in pretty rough shape, so I guess there wasn't no saving it. But instead of tearing it down and doing something with the site, the county extension office here decided to build this one and have open rooms for different classes and everything for the community, and really turned it into a community center. But they styled it just like the old one was. Now, don't know exactly when this one or Everts, I couldn't find information when they were built. I'm guessing this one was built probably the mid to late teens, because the rail lines come through in 1911. They would have reached Harlan first. These three towns, the reason they have depots is because they were, you know, Lynch was a major place, Harlan was a major place, and then Everts was a major place, because there was lots of coal mine branches and everything from up there. So these that I know of were the only three towns that had actual depots. There were plenty of passenger stations, just little buildings and stuff where people would catch the train along, you know, the line all the way up from Pineville, all the way up, you know, the different branches. But these were the three depots where they actually had goods would come in, get distributed out in the county and everything. So we'll show you around this one. I don't think we'll be able to get in this one either. And I'll show you, you know, we don't have a lot of written history on this, but one thing we do have, we've got a lot of pictures. So I'll show you some of the old pictures I found of it, and you can get a, you know, get a grasp on what this thing looked like. Here you've got the front side, or the River Street side of the depot. Pay close attention to the details of some of the roof supports and stuff, because when we get to Everts, you're going to see what they originally looked like. Like I said, this is a recreation of the depot. Now you've got this way that heads towards Everts. You can still see the McComb Supply on that building there. But the tracks would have come off, and there were a couple of little rail spurs here on the back side of the building. And you'll have to see those in pictures, but the concrete here should be the original concrete from the original depot steel, from the loading platforms and such. So this end of the building would have been for freight. And you'll be able to see in one of these pictures, they had a couple of spur lines that come off the main line here to load and unload freight. And the passenger depot would have been down more where that pole is. And there's the depot. Now the thing about this recreation, it's nowhere near the size of the original. The original, see how it goes down, and there's steps right down at the bottom, you can see there, right down there at the bottom. Steps went up. The depot come all the way out to where this blocked in section is. So the whole parking lot there, the depot took up. This end of it, from what I can tell, was the passenger part of the depot, where the passenger loading and unloading took place. And then to give you some more perspective, you got the depot there, pan around, this is Main Street, that truck's traveling up, and there's downtown. Got the Justice Center, you can barely see there on the right. Civic Center, parking lot, where the first courthouse was, right over in there, and that's downtown Harlan. So there's station number 2, the L&N train depot in Harlan. It might be a recreation, but they've done a real good job recreating the look on the outside of the old depot. Yes, it's downsized, it's not as big as the old one, but it's a pretty daggone good job, I think. So, one more to go. Y'all enjoying yourself yet? I sure hope so. It's awful pretty day to be out here not to enjoy it. So, let's get on up the road back that way to Everts and take a look at the last depot. So lastly, but certainly not least of all, that brings us to Everts. Just like with Harlan, I couldn't find when this thing was built. Now I'm guessing probably the 20s, sometime in the 20s, more or less, maybe late teens, maybe early 30s, but somewhere in the late 20s probably. But this depot was constructed in the same manner that the one in Harlan was. The architecture and everything's the same, so it must have been a kind of a blueprint that L&N had when they built depots. So you'll get to see what the original depot in Harlan would look like with this one, because they were built, I mean, they look identical. This one's smaller, but you know, you had more traffic and stuff going through Harlan, that's why it was bigger. So as you can see here with this one, you know, the architecture, you've got all those beams and stuff. These were gorgeous depots when they were built. But you would have come in right there, and you've got a dock out front that all the cargo and stuff, you could have pulled trucks up and everything too to get it out where they needed to go. So standing here, you can see this would have been the platform for passengers, I'm sure, and definitely for freight to come in. And they would come in those 2 big doors there, and you could go right through the other side to unload them out to the rest of the community. But there was the main line that went up through, so you can see the siding track here that come off, and way down there is where the switches was, where you're coming off the main line to come right to the station here. And those old timbers for the platform to hold it up. And the old light fixture is still overhead. And that's it, guys. That's everything we've got on the 3 depots. You know, I didn't have a whole lot of information on this one or Harlan's, but we had a lot on Lynch. So just wanted to preserve these, take you through town, show you around, and preserve them on video, because, you know, you never know when they'll be here, if they won't be here anymore. But it's the history of Harlan County. So thanks for coming along. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back by and stick with us next time, and let's see what else we get into. Until then, love one another as the good Lord tells you. We'll see you on the next video.